Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is Angela Coulter and
Sarah Sieg Avignoni.
bringing you this week's Ascended World. So we hope that everyone, oh my gosh,
Morning, Sarah.
I am seeing some weird stuff. Comments. There we go. Okay. Ashley. Good morning, Ashley and Michael. That's what I see.
I see Sarah and Michael.
Interesting. Well, good. Between the two of us, we might cover everybody.
Right.
So we hope everybody had a good holiday, whoever, whatever you're celebrating,
Right.
This week we have New Year's coming and a lot to look at in terms of shifting and changing, and not just because it's the year end, but because we're actually coming to what we feel like is a big cycle end, right?
Yeah, it's like all the messages we've sent ourselves for the seasons and the eclipses and the full moons and the new moons and the calendar year and everything else. It just feels like there's this groundswell that's carrying us to this new place, energetically, and there's no denying it. There's no saying, oh, I need 5 more minutes, or wait.
Right. Well, and I've just let go of getting stressed about anything having to do with time. It just is what it is. It gets done or it doesn't.
Oh, exactly. And trusting that you'll feel what has urgency that's valid, or that's imperative for goals or whatever, and that the rest is just like, yeah.
Well, and that's
wasn't a priority.
That's where we came to the talk about things, right? Because that's what really shuts us down and limits us and stuff, is because we do overwhelm ourselves with things. And it's not just material things like, buying things. It's all the things we put in our schedule that we call busy work stuff, right? That would make us
things like traditions,
right? And rituals
and rituals. We've always done it this way, and the expectation is that it will be done this way by even if it's a small collective of your family.
Yeah. Right. Well, and sometimes that's the hardest collective to break through.
Right.
Because it's sort of an identity that we create through traditions, right? So it's like these things that we are doing, and do we really value them? We've talked about it in context of like belief systems, right? Many people have belief systems that they inherited from their parents, and they never really gave a thought, or not even a thought, gave their heart to a moment of, does this really resonate with me? Or am I just doing it so that I fit in with the family and continue on what they have started?
Or a check in the box, like, oh, okay, this is what we do, so this is what I'll do, so now it's done. And there's no emotion, there's no connection to it, other than it's just a thing that I do.
Yeah. And I give a lot of credit to like, I look at my daughter's SO, and they've been together for a long time, and he grew up in a very Catholic family, right? And we grew up in my kids grew up in a very non-Catholic family. Yes. And very inclusive of all different kinds of practices. And I always wanted my kids to just have exposure so they could decide what resonates for them. Right. And so my oldest tends to lean in the direction of Wicca and Druidism and that kind of stuff, and very pagan, very like earth-based belief system, nature stuff. And he has really expanded. And I remember one time when she was in college, she had to do she took a class on religion and spirituality, because she's like, well, I have the best mom that can help me with that. Right. And she had to do a final project and go to like 3 different belief system like practices, right, that she had never been to before. And then basically do a paper on it. So one of the things we went to, I remember, was like I took her to a Wiccan Easter ritual thing, with a local coven. I took her to a Buddhist temple. I can't remember what the third one was. And I remember her SO came with us to the Buddhist temple, and he was just like, this is awesome. Because basically what we did was we sat and meditated and looked within and quieted and it was just, even that whole ceremony that we were in was all about that. And so he's really opened up, and I have to give him credit because, he has gotten to the point where he's like, the church thing just doesn't resonate with me anymore, and that's a hard thing for us to come to with our families when it's been something that's been, embedded and tradition, you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I mean, I know, because I came from the same kind of thing.
Right.
Not Catholic, but close to it.
Right.
Episcopal, which is step down Catholic. So,
Yeah.
so, the thing is, so we've talked about it in that context, but then we think, okay, that's the important one, but all these little things, they're not that important, right? It's okay for me to continue doing, this. And then there's like the baking of the cookies. There's the, who you're exchanging gifts with every year, and
the meal.
Right. The meal and what it has to be,
The
and
menu for the meal.
yes, and what you're doing, and, who you're doing it with, and who's invited over, and, or who you're invited to, or where you're going, or what you're doing. And, oh, we can't have Christmas without this. And, those are all, when we say, I can't do this without this, that's an attachment to a thing.
Right. Well, and when you use those words, can't, that's ego.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing. And so the holidays, what a great time as we're coming into this, resolution of a huge phase for us, bigger than I think most of the others we've had for probably at least 10 years at this point, right?
Right.
So we're coming into this big, huge shifting into this thing. And as we've been talking about, all the things that don't serve us just keep on coming to the surface, to agitate, and to be washed away, right? So the same thing goes with the things, right? And I realized yesterday, things are things. It was funny because I've had like a handful of presents that just haven't been able to make it here, right? And it's not that I felt like it was an obligation, but these are things I wanted to give these, different people, right? So it was like I ordered them early enough, whatever, and I was getting so frustrated, and I just finally had to let go and be like, it's just a thing, and I'm spending this inordinate amount of time trying to manage the things, and all I can do is the best I can do, and then let it go. At some point, ask for my money back or whatever, or, and just, but, it's that expectation and what that's supposed to be. And and we go through that now, right? How many people I know who they have to get for like 500 people or whatever, not like, at Christmas time. And I used to be that way. You have to get for this person, you have to get for these people, you have to get for that, and it just ended up being a whole bunch of presents that meant nothing because they were just space fillers.
Right. Checking the box. Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Checking the box of something that I got to say I gave it to somebody, even though I don't really know them close. I'm not close enough to say, oh, they would really enjoy this.
This would be perfect.
Right. Because when you know someone like that, the people that you would really care to share presents with or whatever, right?
Right.
Then it can be a $5 gift and mean the world.
Exactly.
Versus $100 gift that is just a placeholder.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes a huge difference. Huge difference. Right. So I've gotten to that's where I've been for a number of years. And this year, though, I was tested in many directions with that. In many directions.
Yasmin just joined us.
Hello, Yasmin. So, but yeah, and it was a matter of like just reassessing, like, what am I doing? Like, am I doing? And there were some things that I just said, you know what? I feel like doing this year. Let's do this instead.
Right. Right. I mean, mine were mainly around like the meal, because normally it's, we have a set, this is what we have. And this year I was like, just not feeling that, just not feeling that. And it's like, what am I feeling? And what would I enjoy, and what would bring me joy to create and to share? And it was awesome. It was great. It was so much less stress and so much um less expectation, and just it was so much easier. And even Christmas unfolded differently than I think it ever has. With kids, you have, they set the pace.
Yes, that's the truth.
So this year our dogs set the pace. It was like they had to be walked first, they had to be fed first, all these things. And it was like, it just felt so much more relaxed and freeing. But I will say that I had an interesting feeling at the end of the day, like it's over, it's done. And without this, as in everything that represents, who am I? What's left when you take away all the stuff that I do and all the things that I do and the stuff that I accumulate? And I felt like I was looking a total stranger in the face, taking all that away, because I felt like I had closed a chapter.
Yeah.
In the whole activity, whether it's my life up to this point, whether it's the energies of whatever, up to this point. And it's like, I don't know who that is that's staring me in the mirror when I take all this away. And it was pretty daunting. But the more I sat with it, the more I saw I got like a tinge of excitement of potential and possibilities. And wow, look what's coming. Look what could be coming.
Right.
And but I had to let go of all of this to see that.
Yes. Do you know what I just realized? That was very funny. I had last week's video up on my phone. Not this week's. That's why I was seeing different people from you.
Oh, well, that makes total sense.
Yes, we're in alignment now. But yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad you joined us.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying though. It's yeah. So you said that, and you said, you didn't know who that was looking back to, because when we let go of all those things, that's what defines us, right? And
Right.
and for me, like I had this huge something happen Christmas morning, and it was, I had spent the night in Mount Shasta. Like it was such a very vivid traveling experience in my sleep, and woke up, and it was like I got up, and it was before everybody got up, and it was just right around sunrise, and I felt like something really deep had shifted, right? So I go and I sit out by the tree, and I'm looking at the windows, the sun comes up, and then I started journaling, and I was meditating, and it was so peaceful and centered and clear. And it was like I had retrieved, or a part of myself that I had left in Shasta had decided to rejoin me, right? And that's pretty much how it felt, because it felt like there was this entirely different dimension that I've been missing for a while, that I didn't realize I'd been missing for a while.
Right.
And it sort of did that exact same kind of feeling that you're saying, except it was a more full feeling of, oh, I can just drop all that shit now.
Right.
Right. And it was so freeing. It was so freeing, and it was so nice. And then it was really interesting because, like, I don't know, it was like, I was probably sitting there for about 45 minutes, and my husband got up, and I was feeding the cats. Like you said, the animals don't care what day of the year it is. They just want their food.
Yeah. I have my needs.
That's right. So I was feeding the cats, and while I was, putting the other food, one of my cats was out on the screened-in porch, because we're in the 70s this week.
Yes, we're same here.
And he comes tearing in and running because I could tell he was spooked by something. And all of a sudden you just hear all of this chattering, chatter, chatter, chatter. And I looked out the windows. My husband was like, oh my God, look at this. And there were like hundreds of blackbirds had swarmed in, and they were all sitting in the trees, like right behind my house. And it was like deafening loud because it was
Right.
so many of them. And I was like, well, if that's not a message of some sort.
Right.
Like it made my whole back go electric. And I was like, wow. And they just stayed there for like 20 minutes. And it was so like, I mean, it was so much so that I just dropped what I was doing and went and stood out on the porch to look in the trees. And it's so wild when you see that many birds just there. And then it was funny, I went back inside and I said to my husband, well, obviously there's a big message there for us this morning. And as soon as I said that, they all took off.
Okay, she heard us. Time to go.
So then there was funny, I looked up later on like a flock of blackbirds and the meaning of that or whatever. And it was like, oh yeah, big change is coming. And as soon as you let go, and allow the change with fluidity, you can do it in a joyful, fun way. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, that's the whole theme right now. So I thought, oh, how perfect. So I had that all day on Christmas. And then yesterday was the things thing because there was returns, exchanges, and I was having a challenge aligning with that. And then I went and did a whole like meditation on aligning and transcending and allowing it all to just resolve and in a way that is acceptable and pleasurable to me. Then last night I had other stuff fall into it. So it's like, okay, so there's a little bit of tweaking going on, but I feel like it's because we have so much that we're letting go of at once, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's because here's the thing, I let go of all of this, or I allowed this other part of me to come in so that I would let go of all that. And that felt great. But that left all these other things in a misalignment, right? That I then had to go and adjust with, right? To allow that to work. And then last night it was like another layer altogether. And I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna flow with it. I'm riding the surfboard this week. That's it.
Right. Right. Yeah. Because when you've got that groundswell underneath you, you can't stop it. You can't fight it. You can't redirect it. It's get on board with it. So you don't get tumbled by it.
And the things are all things that we put into importance and roles and whatever. And like, of course we had to go see the new Matrix movie Wednesday night in the movies. And I won't give any spoilers away. There was just one line that was really really hit me because it really had to do with this. And Trinity she was beating up on somebody because she basically said, and how dare you, how low was it to use kids as the things for distraction, right?
Oh, well, we're so there.
And I was like, yes.
Yeah, we're definitely there.
Yeah. I mean, and the whole thing is, that's what we do. Oh, well, I have to prioritize my kids. I have to prioritize their well-being. I have to prioritize my family. I have to, like all that kind of stuff, because that's more important. And I'm going to give up what my heart calling is to attend to those things because it's easier and convenient, and it makes everybody else see me as a better person. And that makes me believe I'm a better person.
Yeah, I've had a lot of clarity around my discomfort watching someone overmanage kids and everything. And it's, if you substitute the words, you should do this, this, and this for like, I don't trust you to have good judgment to make these decisions on your own. So I'm just going to do it for you. And that really kind of snaps you to it because that's true. I don't trust you to make that. So I need to make it for you.
Right.
And, that's probably good for a 3-year-old. But as they grow up, you hope that they're gaining an observing experience to where you can trust them.
So Michael says,
comment
Michael
on.
says, I loved how they switched the structure of the matrix from logic to emotion. Yeah, it was incredible. And it had so many layers to it. So anybody who hasn't seen it, who is really on this wavelength, it's really worth seeing. Because it did shift a lot. And you could tell things have evolved a lot between the third and the fourth matrix. They did it very well. Yeah.
Well, and when he's talking about that shift between the logic and emotion, I found that I found myself with a extra long list of grocery needs on Christmas Eve. And I didn't want to go to the store. I
Right.
really didn't want to go to Whole Foods.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I had to go early. And so as I was driving, I was like, you know what? And I kept feeling the feeling of this is just going to be hard. They're going to be out of everything, and I kept creating this dysfunction. And finally I said, what I don't like about it is because, I have to go to the store and I don't mind going to the store and I don't mind picking up things off the shelf and paying for it and coming home. I don't mind that. It's all the emotion that I have wrapped around, well, it's going to be crowded and there are going to be long lines and they're going to be inconsiderate people and that emotion. And I just said, no, that's the part I'm not participating in. So I'm going to change that because I want this to be a great experience. And I'm going to start with that instead of creating all this flail around it.
Right.
And I tell you what, I found a parking space. I found a cart. And, even driving there, I visualized this tunnel that was just mine that had all green lights. There was no traffic. And I mean, it freaking worked. And not only did I get everything on my list, I helped 2 other people find things on their list. And I walked right up and was second in the checkout line. I brought my own bags. I mean, it just clicked right along. And I was in and out probably in an hour. And I probably had 30 things on my list. And my list was made by someone else. So it was all over the place, not like, here's all the produce.
Yeah.
Here's all this, here's the meats, here's this. But I tell you what, it was incredible. And I was like, that is the way I want to create from this point forward.
Well, and if you also detach from it emotionally, right? Where you're not attached to what that looks like, right?
Right. And I, regardless of the mechanics of how I did it and what I did, if I just stayed attached to this is going to be an amazing, fulfilling experience, how it unfolds doesn't matter because the feeling is what I was creating.
Right.
And it was so simple. And it was that little tweak of just aligning with that versus this is going to suck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it was with me, it was like, okay, this year there's so much, and it's funny for us just having our little small household gathering,
Right.
It was like, well, but we do all these things, right? All these things, right? So blah, blah, blah. And there's something, and I realized this year how many things everybody else just depends on me to do. Right.
Right.
And this year I was like, nope. And so when somebody asked if like, actually I didn't even wait, but a lot, like if somebody asked me if I needed help, I'd be like, yep, I need you to do this. I would just let it go.
Right.
And there were a couple of things I had to say like 3 times because I asked if I wanted help, but I said, yes, I need you to do this. And then like that didn't happen. And then like 15 minutes later, I get the same question. I'd be like, yes, I asked you to do this. That's what I need you to do. It was good. And it was like, it was actually, it was nice because it allowed me to just focus on the things. Because here's the thing, I love holiday cooking, right? Some people hate it. They despise it. But Christmas Eve, we make lasagna. That's what we have for dinner, and so like, I had made sauce early in the week and all that kind of stuff. And then this year for dinner, we just decided to do something completely different. But also like because we always have cookies, because we make all the cookies and give them away. So many, we're usually done by Christmas. We have like nothing, and we never think about dessert on Christmas because we have had so many cookies and stuff like that. But this year wasn't like that. We actually did give away most of the cookies. So we didn't really have that over indulgence. And I found this amazing old fashioned, it was like a peppermint bark cheesecake recipe that I wanted to do. And I was like, okay. And that took a lot of time. And it was like, but you know what? That was what I wanted to do. Like, it was what I wanted to do.
Right.
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 And it came out,
that emotion.
and it came out incredible. And so it was like, and it was because I let everybody else do the stuff that I was not attached, that I did not like feel an emotional attachment to. Right. And I just took care of the stuff that I really wanted to. And it's not like I do that all the time. And but when the mood hits me, it's a lot easier to be able to focus on something like that and put your heart into it. It was like a conversation I had last week. Somebody had asked me, I got a PM, we had this interchange about, she was reading a book and she's an artist and has had to challenge getting back to her art because she works her regular job and then she does her art on the side, but then she just avoids it.
Right.
And so she's been reading a lot of books on how to pick that up again. And she said, well, I'm reading this book about, the whys in business, and it's been a really good read. And she said, but I just can't get to why I do my art. For what purpose? And I said, well, are you thinking about it? Or are you feeling it? Because art is one of the easiest things to find a why to.
Right.
And I was like, so, and she was like, we were going back and forth. And I said, before I did this, I was in marketing, and like the company I had before this was a marketing consulting business for, like for small, medium businesses. I said, I worked with the people who own those businesses to, why did you start this? What was your passion about? Like, find your heart in this. Everything, because you get lost in the things, right? Yep. And it's the same in all of life. Find your heart in something and stop getting lost in the things, because we lose our heart by getting lost in the things, right? So I said to her,
discovered in finding the why that I was attracted to it for all the wrong reasons, that I'm really not attracted to it.
Right.
I was doing it for external validation, for external praise, for all kinds of things. And once you come to that place, it's like, yeah, I'm really not interested in that.
Right. And when you get to the place of, I freaking just love this, right? Because it helps me express what I am, who I am. It helps me embody that. Because it always is all about us. And that's what I said. Because she's like, well, I'm stuck on like what it does for others and whatever. I said, well, first of all, stop. Because you got to look at what it does for you, because that's what's going to light your switch. Right. And this is what we're talking about in the course that we're going to be doing in January on creating an energetic vision board. We're calling it our Wonder Vision Boards, right? From our Wonderland discussions this year, on doing it from the heart and from our consciousness versus the things, right? And so like when I was interchanging with this person, I said, art is so emotional. I said, so what is it you enjoy that makes you feel great about doing your art? And she was like, oh, well, it's like the way that I express my feelings, because I'm not very good at expressing them otherwise. And I said, all right, there's your why.
Ding, 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 ding.
I was like, that was easy. It's like, I said, because here's the thing. People are turned on by art, no matter what it looks like or, how it forms, but by what it feels like. That's
what it evokes in them.
Exactly. That's right. And I said, and so you will just attract those of the same vibration, who have the same set of emotions, or who understand that set of emotions. And that's why you do it. She's like, oh yeah, that was easy. And I was like, yeah, we overthink, because the think goes to the things instead of I feel what this is, right? So when we look at why I don't do something, why do I do something, right? You look at, how do I feel about it? How's my worthiness around it? How's my trust with it? How's my, what does my guidance say? Like, do I have judgments around it that I need to forgive?
Self-responsibility.
Yeah, self-responsibility. It always falls back to these now, right? What's my creation? Why do I create it? And like what's the shadow side to it? What
Right.
is
How's
it?
the shadow peeking through in this?
And how has it afforded me more depth through that shadow experience?
Right.
How do I approach it from a place of self-love? It's a
Right.
completely different way of approaching our embodiment here,
It,
right?
I mean, even something as simple as going to the grocery store,
Yes, absolutely.
all the
Abs-
way to what do I do with the rest of my life? What do I do when I grow up?
Yep. And it was funny because I too ended up going to Whole Foods on Christmas Eve. And the thing for me was I only needed a couple of things. And I did the same thing of, uh, so actually what happened was I had to go to my mother's because she wasn't coming over on Christmas Eve. And I was bringing her bayberry candles to, so she could light that before it, when it got dark.
Right.
And so okay, I promised her I would come and bring them before then. And then I was like, okay, well, on the way to her house is Whole Foods, and I need to pick up these like two things that I didn't realize I needed. And I started thinking, oh, and it's 4 o'clock or whatever it was, 3:30. It was like 3:30 on Christmas Eve. So I really want to go into Whole Foods. And I was like, oh, and then there was the voice saying, yeah, you got this. It's
You
easy.
got this. Right.
It'll be fine and enjoyable. Just, yeah. And it was, everybody's happier on Christmas Eve. Well, many people are a lot happier on Christmas Eve. I will say, not everybody, but a lot of people. And so, it was easy. I got in and out. Yes, they did not have everything I wanted. They have the best eggnog at Whole Foods because it's a
No,
local.
it's sold out everywhere.
Yes,
I
they were.
have been everywhere and it's sold out.
I ended up going to 2 different stores after Whole Foods just to see if I could find eggnog there after on Christmas Eve. And it was like, nah. And it was really funny because I was just standing there looking at the shelf. There were like 3 shelves and they were completely empty. Right.
Yep.
And I'm looking at it and this couple walks up and they look at it. We all just stand there looking at the empty shelves for a minute.
Like can we make it magically appear?
We're just manifesting it to pop up. And I said, yeah, no eggnog. And they're like, yeah, well, we tried anyway. And I was like, yep. But I wasn't attached to it. I was like, oh, well, I guess it just isn't. I mean, I was in a way. I went to because one of my daughters really likes it. So I was like, all right. We had some already, like earlier in the week. So I was like, you know what? That's fine. I just ran around and it was fine. But I was in and out in like 10 minutes. Like I got what I needed. I got out. It wasn't like long line. I was able to just, park up by the front. It was easy, even though the parking lot was full. And yeah, like you were saying, you just decide, nah, this is fine. And it was fun. People were so like, and everybody I met was happy and friendly, and everybody was, oh, excuse me, because we're all like bumping into each other because everything was so crowded. And yeah, it was nice. But yeah, and when we decide to just allow it to be easy, in all ways, and we stop attaching to the things, because again, in my case, so with your case, they had everything. In my case, they didn't, right? And I was just like, and I was like, all right, well, on my way home, there are these 2 stores that I pass, and I can just stop there and see if they have them there. And it wasn't like I didn't even go out of my way, and they didn't have them there either. And then I was like, all right, I stuck it out a little more, an attachment to the thing, but then I was like, okay, I guess we're not having any, and that's fine. But and that's what we do. We get like all upset though, right? Oh, I can't get this. And then you dig your heels in and I'm gonna,
Well, and if you think about it, once we let go of all the stuff and the things, all we're left with is that emotion. Yeah. So of course, that's like your foundation. That's like your core. And that's what you want to nourish. That's what's left when you let go of all those things. And if you've only been focused on those things, yeah, you're going to look in the mirror and there'll be this void because you haven't paid attention to that. You haven't nourished that.
Well, or you built that identity around all the things that really don't exist. They're all an illusion in the matrix. So
right. So if we start focusing, if we make that shift as we let go of the things, back to that emotion and back to that self-nourishment and back to that, who am I without the things? It's a whole different ride on that wave.
Mhm.
You're actually allowing it to carry you versus fighting it or struggling to keep up or saying I'm not going to go and trying to put your feet down and stay strong.
Yeah. I had that day yesterday with me trying to fall back into that till I finally let go of that. And then I was fine. And then something else hit me last night. I'm just like, okay, can I just breathe for a little bit?
Right, right.
But I get the breaths. And like I said, it's a beautiful energy. Like yesterday, I did also see a bald eagle. So I feel like that's all open and just keep on keeping on in that. Hey, Anne. Um, but I've noticed this year that more, and I think it's because of the freneticism of everything.
Mhm.
It seems like we've almost fallen into an obsession with the things, right? And we've lost our vision
Right.
of connection, like this connection.
Right. Right. Well, and we've been isolated from our connection, supposedly with others,
Yeah.
to give us the time to focus on this connection.
Mhm.
And, a lot have chosen to just connect through Amazon.
Right. Right.
and, and it's just, I don't know, it's bringing us back to that center of self. And
Yeah.
I was just remembered, I guess it was the week, I don't know, maybe Thursday, we watched Wally again, which that's one of my favorite movies from seeing everybody floating around those
Yeah. Yeah. And the
chairs.
chairs. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, there are going to be some that choose that.
Right.
There are going to be some that make that choice. And I honor that for them. And I support them in by not getting in their way and allowing their floating chairs. I, on the other hand, am,
Yeah.
am choosing different.
Choosing to walk.
Right. Right. Choosing to embrace all that this is.
Right, because it's not one or the other. It's that, we talk about in Buddhism, they talk about benevolent detachment, right?
Right. Right.
And it's the idea of, and many take it to this whole idea of, oh well, nothing, I'm just going to forsake everything in the
Right.
in the physicality of this set of dimensions. And it's really, that's not the thing, because then you and I had a lot of talking about that, about the feeling guilty about being prosperous or having a good year when a lot of people haven't, or whatever. And and how dare you get something for yourself during the holiday season.
Right.
But and then I realized, oh well, then I obviously have judgments underneath that I feel
Yeah.
like that values or devalues me or anybody by doing that, right? So it's like, what is it I'm still attached to? And yeah, I just totally lost my train of thought.
It goes back to that phrase that it's not it's not abandoning all things.
Yeah. Oh, right, right.
It's not allowing things to own you.
Right. And that includes our relationships. It includes the roles that we play. It includes the jobs that we hold. It includes the houses that we live in. It includes our, family structures and our belief system structures. And it's all of those things, because they're all things.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, when you take away all of this facade, we're all just one consciousness. And that's, and yes, this is the game we wanted to play in this kind of duality and separation. It's like we've gotten to such a level of it that we have completely been losing sight of that wholeness through our mania with the things.
Right.
And getting, well, and things also include the busy things, the things we put on our schedules that we have to do. We have to get them done. Right. And, and I say to people, all the time. And, anybody who knows me has said that I don't use the word busy. I say, when people ask me how things are, I'll say things like, it's been really full. Every day is very full, right? Busy to me is a very ego-based word. Because it's
Well, and
filling.
I always feel like it's really close to busy work, which really is of no importance.
Right.
It's just a distraction.
It fills up the day to make it look like you're more important because you have more things.
Right.
Makes you feel that way. And I'm not saying that with judgment. We all do it at some point or another, but I am dedicated to that. I'm dedicated to that of, and like you were saying earlier on about, if you replace one kind of thing that you're doing with really truly what the emotion is behind it, right? It is, instead of saying, oh, I can't get to that because I'm too busy, you say, I choose not to prioritize that because the things that I'm keeping myself busy with make me feel good about myself.
Yep. Right.
And externalize my validation.
Right. That's really, that's ultimate self-responsibility.
Right. I mean, it is self-responsibility. And I mean, whenever I start to fall to that, I will step back and say that to myself and change the words and be like, right. And when you say that, and it's something that you're ignoring, that is not self-nourishing, not based in self-love, but coming from well, I fill my day with these things to prioritize them so that people can think that I'm important, or people think that, or people think that I am a good person or valuable, which then in turn makes me feel valuable about myself, because I don't feel that way otherwise. When you get underneath it to the why, right? That's the why.
Yes.
Why do you do all that? It's because I don't feel important or valuable or worthy, or I don't trust, or, like, it's all of those things underneath. So when we strip, like you're saying, when we strip all those away, what do you have left?
Yep.
That's what scares the ego.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So the thing for us, I think, in this final week of the year, even though I feel like the cycle's still several more weeks that's closing up, but is really to look at that, like where you are getting stuck in the things, because, and what's funny is the ego gets so defensive when you question it about its things, right? Well, why are you doing that?
Right.
Why is that so important?
Why are you wasting your time with that?
And then the ego goes, because, you get that affrontation and the haughtiness of, because here are the 500 reasons why I should do that. Right?
Right.
And make that my priority and make that fill my busy schedule. Because if I don't get it done, nobody else will do it, implying that makes me more important, right?
Right.
Because I don't feel important. Like, there's all these things. And I say this and I laugh because we all have them. I'm not like pointing fingers or being judgmental about anybody. We all do this, all of us. And I always laugh at myself when I catch myself. It's like, oh, I've got to do this. Do you really? Why? And I ask, so then what I've gotten to asking lately is it for me to prioritize this over the other stuff right now?
Right.
And it's funny that the answer is often surprising, like it surprises me in a different way than I would expect. But,
and so maybe that's our goal, is to help people get to that place where that they ask that question first. Is this really for me to do right now?
Right. And so the course that we're doing, the Wonder Vision Board, right, the energetic vision board, is geared to bring you to a place of changing your focus to those essences, right, of worthiness and trust, and like all those 7 essences that we talk about repeatedly, so that's where we create from, because that's the truth. That's the core truth, instead of all of the things we're pretending around a truth we're ignoring.
Yes.
And because then there's only so much we're going to create accurately and effectively when we hide all of our creations and things versus our creation from the
it's a perpetuation of what is versus the expansion into the spiral of what could be.
Yes. So So we hope you join us for the class. We're having another like little info session tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Facebook. The course rolls out January 6th and goes the month of January. So because we want to take time with this so that it's a changing of the habits in such a way of, instead of like, it's not creating to create things, it's creating to create from the central point of consciousness in a completely different way. And this is like the stuff that we're talking about. So it's funny how that sort of backed its way into it.
Right.
Look at that. That was so perfect. So
And we're running a special that goes till
December
New Year's
31st,
Eve?
New Year's
Yeah.
Eve. Yeah. Because the course after the first will be 222. If you sign up before the first, it is 122. So new beginnings to 2022, the 3 2s, 222 is all about new beginnings. And that's we're helping to support that energy of doing it differently, doing it from our core consciousness versus from doing it from these outside shells of things instead doing it from the inside out. So that's our little plug for today, but let's look at the what we should do for our clearing today. So I can see through the things and remember what drives my heart. How's that?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Easily and in a love-based way. Let's do that. All right. So everybody close your eyes, take a deep breath, open your heart as we step out of separation into oneness and wholeness. And we hold ourselves at the vibration where this is our truth. This is from where we exist, create, and experience. All right. That felt quite yummy.
Yes, it did.
In the beginning, I saw a lot of like a lot of different presents like piled on each other, wrapped up and stuff. And it was cool, but it was just all over the place. And then it just also went that alignment, right? And it became like nesting dolls, but there was like the big present, little ones and little ones, and I'm just opening, getting down to the bottom, like to the core one. And then when the core one was opened, it just aligned everything. And it was just like, in this moment, in this hour, in this, day, in this week, in this month, the year, the phase, the collective, like, and it was just like, it became so aligned. It felt like such a breath of air, because it suddenly aligned all the energies to simply this being in this different place. It felt so nice, so nice.
I started sitting in a big collective stadium, and it was like everyone was, it was full, but it was faceless. It was just presence sitting there, and as the meditation continued, it was like faces would pop in and fill in the stadium, and it was like everyone was aligned into the same, where it was aligned in the same place at the same time, all that synchronicity and that alignment and everything. And it was it was like there was a game, but we were the game, and it was all about just that, those pleasant and fulfilling emotions. And it was, I got lost out there.
Yeah, no, I felt really good. It's like I'm going, I could go sit there for like another half hour or so.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, there's the key. There's the key. That really helped. That felt really good. All right. Well, that's it for today. We hope you join us tomorrow at 1 Eastern time, or at least just join us for the course. It starts a week from Thursday. But we have the outline for the course up here on Facebook. We can put the link there. I can just put the link right to the page to the course if you want to take a look at what's in there, or join us for the discussion if you missed the one that we did last week. And as we head into this new phase, it's exciting. That alignment is going to make a huge difference in what we create if we allow it to. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So everyone have a great week. This is Angela Coulter and
Sieg Avanioni
signing off with this week's Ascended World. Have a good one.